we are joined by three special alumni sisters who were in your shoes not so long ago. We've been featuring our first ever 33 under 33 Tri Delta stars through the pages of the Trident, at Collegiate Leadership Conference, and on our Let's Talk Tri Delta podcast. We're so lucky to be joined by an outstanding panel of these DDD dynamic deltas today. They will share their inspiring stories, how their passions and purpose have driven their careers, and they're going to have lots of practical, insightful tips. Joining us today are Amanda Aragon, an alumna of our Theta Upsilon chapter at the University of Tulsa, where she studied international business and Spanish. After 6 successful years in the energy sector, Amanda pursued public service as the Director of Strategic Outreach at the New Mexico Public Education Department. Her experience with the department affirmed her passion for education, motivated her dedication to improving New Mexico's education system, and led to the development and creation of New Mexico Kids Can, where she currently serves as executive director. Welcome, Amanda. We also have joining us Melanie Bennett, an alumna of our Phi Nu chapter at the University of Louisiana Lafayette. While pursuing her MA in government, counterterrorism, and homeland security at the Lauder School of Diplomacy and Strategy at IDC Herzliya, Israel, Melanie studied how poor governance contributes to the global struggle against terrorism. This position inspired her to pursue good governance around the world through policies that uphold free societies. Today, she serves as the Activism Associate at the Institute of Justice, a national nonprofit civil liberties law firm where she advocates for the rights of Americans in legislatures and in the streets across the country. Welcome, Melanie. We also have Chin Doan, an alumna from our Theta Gamma chapter at the University of Oklahoma. She is a former refugee, foster child, and the first in her family to graduate from college. Chin was born in Vietnam, and at the age of 4, she and her father, a former South Vietnamese officer and prisoner of war for nearly 10 years, moved to the US, having to leave her mother behind due to paperwork complications. Upon arrival in Oklahoma City, Chin quickly learned English with the help of local news. Her proudest moments include becoming a naturalized citizen in 2008 and sponsoring her mother to America in 2012, reuniting their family after 18 years. Chin is pursuing her passions in her home state and working for the CBS affiliate in Tulsa. Chin, you're going to serve as our moderator today, and we are so excited to hear from these sisters. So, Chin, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Taisali, for the wonderful introductions. Hope everyone's having a great day. It is an exciting time, right? Congratulations on your circle degree. We've all been there. Very special day. Now, I'm honored to be getting to know a lot of my fellow 33 under 33 honorees, reading about them and getting to know them, meeting some of them virtually. Today, we have Amanda and Melanie joining us. They have incredible stories. I think you'll be just as inspired by them as I am. And so, Amanda and Melanie, hello, welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, doesn't this day remind you of when we were in our sister shoes not too long ago? Walk us through, literally, walk us through some of those last moments as your college days were coming to an end and you were going through circle degree.
Sure. Amanda, why don't you start?
Yeah, I just remember being like intensely excited and a little bit sad. You know, Tri Delta was home for 4 years for me. And I remember at my University of Tulsa, we have this big grad night party. And after grad night, my whole pledge class went back to the Tri Delta house, and we just sat around in a kind of half empty house and reminisced about our favorite memories. And that's kind of like the last memory I have of my time on campus, was that night with my pledge sisters in our house that we had spent 4 years in. So, and we knew we might not all be in the same room ever again. And, but we were all like moving across the country for new jobs and exciting opportunities. So it's a lot of excitement, a lot of sadness, and a lot of gratitude is what I remember.
Yeah, I would have to say the same. The word that I would describe it is bittersweet. It's like, I'm so sad to leave, but at the same time, you know, the world is just completely open to you. You've just finished your college degree. You've managed to complete something that a lot of people only aspire to. So, I mean, congratulations for that huge success. And then I know it's going to be hard when you transition, because you're like, how am I going to keep these lifelong bonds lifelong? But so long as you put time and effort into it, you will, and you will find sisters all throughout your career and throughout your lifetime. Accept the bitter with the sweetness, because it's going to be sad, but it's also going to be super exciting. So.
Absolutely. Bittersweet. That's my take on it as well. Now, you shared a little bit about your experiences those last few days. Talk about your entire experiences and how some of what you learned. I learned so much in my college days from Tri Delta, and talk about some of those transferable skills that you are still using today.
Sure. Amanda, I'll start if you don't mind. One of the things that I've always kept in my personal and professional career is something that you learn at the beginning of recruitment and then throughout your time as a Tri Delta. And that is always making someone feel comfortable when they join a room. I've kept this truly in all of my different experiences, where when your sister comes up to you in recruitment and taps you on the back and you're talking to a potential new member, you're like, hey, here's what we were talking about, you know, here's her pursuits in her career, and, you know, that kind of thing, and continue on the conversation. You make someone feel welcome. They never feel like they can't contribute to the conversation, and they know what's going on. And so I do that in my professional life all the time. When there's a social or something for work, someone enters the room, hey, welcome. We were just talking about, you know, this bill going through committee, and, you know, what are your thoughts and things like that. So continue on and learn that Tri Delta way of always making someone feel comfortable in a room and welcome and just a member.
Yeah, I agree with Melanie. Those conversational skills I use day in, day out. They are so critical in the professional world and will never steer you wrong. But I think the other thing that I think of is, especially when you're applying for jobs or beefing up your resume, your time in Tri Delta is like your time in a mini company or a mini organization. And for those of you that have been officers, like if you were chapter president, you were the CEO of an organization of whatever size your chapter is, like whatever the budget is. If you were in charge of the finances at your chapter, you can put on your resume, I oversaw a budget of X amount of dollars. And depending on the size of your chapter, those are big numbers. Those are real experiences that you have that, sure, you can talk about, you know, Greek life the way that we know it and all of the like fuzzy memories that we have, but you can also talk about your organizational skills in a way that when you're interviewing for jobs and competing for those promotions, you have real world experiences already. So using those opportunities and my Tri Delta leadership experiences to step in those situations and kind of prove my value in that way was extremely beneficial. And then I would also say, you know, everyone in Tri Delta is a leader, whether you have an office or not. And you know how hard it is to make tough decisions when you're personally invested in the lives of your sisters. Our Tri Delta bonds are so strong, and that sometimes makes decisions even more difficult. And so I found in the professional world, it's way easier to make decisions about my colleagues or managers because I've already had to make really hard decisions that I knew might impact my personal relationships. And when you kind of take the personal relationships out of it the way that you can outside of TriDelta, it's a lot easier to lean into those decisions and to stand into your leadership abilities. So I would just encourage you to spend some time thinking about those awesome leadership experiences that TriDelta has brought to you, and make sure that you have them written down somewhere so you can refer back to them when you need them in an interview.
Absolutely, yes. And you both have such impressive resumes. You are just so good at what you're doing. And I think a lot of that comes back to your passion, right? When we're passionate about what we're doing, we end up setting up ourselves for success and, being interested in the things that we want to pursue. Let's talk about that, your TriDelta experiences, what you took from that passion of being a TriDelta member, learning from our TriDelta ideals, and how that set you up for your careers right now and your interests.
Sure. Amanda, do you want to start?
Sure. I remember going through recruitment and being really drawn to TriDelta partially because of our partnership with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And I loved our philanthropy work for St. Jude and was lucky enough to visit the hospital a couple of times through TriDelta. And I think at that point realized that I might want to lean into nonprofit work. But that's just not the way that my career played out. I started working for a major oil and gas company right out of college, but I always kind of felt that hankering to do nonprofit. And I think there's a really interesting balance there. I think through your college experience, through your TriDelta experience, you might have found different passions that almost seem oppositional to each other. And you might be worried, oh my gosh, in my case, like I thought about working at St. Jude, and everything other than that, I started to define as, well, that wouldn't be impactful. I almost too closely defined how I wanted to impact the world by saying, I only will be impactful if I work at St. Jude. But then when I started working for ConocoPhillips, eventually I got to oversee our entire philanthropic budget for the state of New Mexico. I'm born and raised New Mexican. And I was having monumental impact for my home state. And that meant more to me than almost anything. And that set me on a new career trajectory to found and launch the nonprofit that I now lead that deals with education. And I never in a million years would have thought that I would do nonprofit work around education. But I was open to exploring my talents and my passions in a way that led me to this job that I have now as the executive director. And I know that this is what I was supposed to do. And I know that every step along the journey was all a step that I needed to take to get this job. And so I would just encourage all of our graduating seniors to open your mind, open your kind of thoughts to things that you might not ever have thought before. If there's a job that sounds interesting, but maybe is outside of what you thought you would pursue, check it out. Ask some questions and explore those opportunities, but figure out what it is about the impact that you want to have in the world. I think now my North Star is I want to have a positive impact on the state of New Mexico. And I can do that lots of different ways. Certainly I'm doing it in this job, but figure out kind of what that North Star is for you and be open to any opportunity that might fall into that category. It might not be as specific as you think it is.
I mean, Amanda, I'm piggybacking off of everything you said because it's so true, and I've played that out in my life. You find out in TriDelta, one of the beauties of it is TriDelta pushes you to do all sorts of different things. It is doing the philanthropic work. It is making sure you really focus on friendships and building relationships. It's making sure that you understand how important it is to do well in your schooling and to do well in your career and all these different facets. You'll find things that you may not love, but you'll find things that you had no idea you had interests in. And mine was always, I really want to help people succeed. And so initially when I was in school, I was like, I wanted to help people succeed through the courtroom. And I was like, I don't know. And then I decided just on a whim, that's a whole different story. I decided to get a graduate degree in Israel, and I studied Homeland Security and counterterrorism, as you heard. And when I was there, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to fight bad actors in the world, and I'm going to bring justice to all these people. And I get back to the States, and it is super hard to find a job. I had a master's degree, and I was like, why isn't anyone hiring me? And so Amanda had mentioned on, you want to have your pursuit and your North Star, but don't have it so narrowly defined that you're hurting yourself. And so I was only applying to jobs that were just grandiose, and I still needed some experience in the background. And so I applied for something that was closely related to what I wanted to do, but more domestic policy focused. And guess what? It was the best thing to build my skill set. I still hopefully one day want to work in foreign policy, but right now I'm making the lives of everyday Americans so much better. I work at the Institute for Justice. It's a national nonprofit law firm. So I guess I did get some of that law anyway. And I am an activist by trade, and I help people rally for their rights against government abuse of power. I lobby at state legislators, and it is the most exciting, fulfilling work. And I never in a million years imagined I would be here. But in the end, I am making a difference for people because my North Star is helping people to succeed. And again, it doesn't mean that your goals will ever go away. I still want to work in foreign policy one day, but I have the skill sets to be so much more effective in that when that time comes. So keep your North Star, but don't be so narrowly tailored and focused that you hurt yourself in the process.
Yeah, you both really touched on that. And I mean, that's my advice for seniors as well, to not be so tunnel vision and keeping your options open, because you never know what one door is going to open the next door and so on. And the people you meet along the way will help you get to that end goal. And you know, this is an exciting, but also a very scary time for our seniors, right? To be graduating and amid a pandemic and just like so many unknowns. And since you are so inspiring and you're so successful, can you share what other advice you would have for our seniors, whether it's starting their careers or maybe they're still trying to figure out what they want to do with their careers?
Sure. I'll go if that's okay. My number one thing that I tell people all the time is read 3 books about the issue area that you're interested in. So I was really interested in foreign policy, specifically counterterrorism. And so if you can't, when I read one book, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. I want to read more. If after the first book you are drowning and you were like, this is the most boring, not interesting thing in the world, that tells you something. If you finish 3 books, then you can speak knowledgeably about that subject and you know about it. And then when you interview, you can then reference it in your interview. Oh, in this book about, counterterrorism, X scholar said this, and, this is why I think we should take this route in this pursuit. So it hits in 3 areas. It prepares you, it makes sure that this is what you want to do to be successful. And then you have the knowledge base to be successful. So whatever issue area it is, just really pursue the knowledge you need to be successful, or then know that you don't want to continue into that area in the future. So.
I absolutely love Melanie's advice, and I'm totally going to start implementing it for myself. But I would also add, give yourself some grace. I really struggled that first year out of college, not because I didn't have a great job. I had a great job with a great company. I, found an apartment. All of those kind of things, checklist things were in place. But I loved my Tri Delta experience so much that being away from that core group of friends who I was around all day, every day, and living on my own in a new city and trying to make friends was really hard. And if I thought about it, up until you graduate college, you're kind of on this path. You start elementary school, you go to middle school, you go to high school, you go to college. But once you graduate from college, it's just like, hey, there's a huge world out there and you can do whatever you want and go wherever you want to go. And it can be a little bit overwhelming to navigate that and to make friends and find new cities and try and maintain your relationships from college that are really important to you. And so I would just say, give yourself some grace. I remember I was talking to someone and they said, Amanda, that first year out of college is just hard. Like, it's hard for everyone. Because I thought I was doing something wrong. I was like, it should be easier, right? And I was so grateful that person just said, hey, sometimes that first year out of college is just hard. It's a lot of adjustment. So give yourself some grace and know, like, it might be a challenging road, but also take advantage of all of the freedom and cool stuff that comes with getting to explore the world in new and different ways. Join new clubs, find new activities. Definitely, I know we'll go here in a little bit, but plug in with the alumni groups in the cities that you move to, whether that's for your college or for Tri Delta. But just, find your people and find your passions, because, and I meant to say this before, your passion doesn't have to come from your work. You might have a job that you love because it affords you to clock in at 8 and leave at 5 and check out the rest of the time and travel in your free time and make a lot of money and donate that money to causes that you care about. That is impact too. So, I think it's okay to find a job that maybe doesn't drive your impact, but to find your impact in all of the things that you do outside of work as well.
Right.
Absolutely.
I was going to say that you are a multifaceted person. So don't just feed your career, feed who you are. And that's going to make that year after better. Like, don't go on it alone. Rely on your sisters, rely on your church groups or your communities, flourish where you're planted, but don't take the world alone, and feed all the areas of you, not just one area, for sure.
Yeah, I think you ladies gave some of the best advice, not only for graduating seniors, but really for any stages of our life, right? Giving yourself and others grace, learn about a subject matter, regardless if you end up going to that career, because you can end up helping somebody else. It's really impressive in interviews for you to know about a subject. So those are all great takeaways. And so we've been talking about your careers and how to pursue your passions. Let's piggyback to our Tri Delta experiences. I always say, you'll never hear me say things like, oh, I was a Tri Delta in college, or I was a Tri Delta for 4 years, or it's because we are all Tri Deltas forever, right? Tri Delta is a lifetime membership. I proudly wear this pin, and when I travel, I always wear a Tri Delta shirt when I travel, because I always find somebody that's like, oh, you're a Tri Delta too, and those instant connections, will serve you wherever you go. And I might be a little bit biased because I was an alumni chapter president for several years, but every state I go to, I always try to get connected with Tri Deltas by visiting a chapter house if there is one nearby, or just reaching out to alumni chapter members. What can you tell me about your Tri Delta experiences after college? And what advice do you have for others to get involved after college?
Yeah, Melanie, I'll hop in if that's okay.
Please.
So I started volunteering so sometimes I've lived in cities that didn't have alumni chapters. Houston obviously did, Albuquerque does, but Farmington, where I lived for 5 years, didn't. And so I really used that time to volunteer for national opportunities. So I was a financial specialist for a little while. I have been lucky enough to facilitate at CLC. I organized, I think even when I lived in Farmington, the St. Jude walk here in Albuquerque, which means I got to go to St. Jude even after my collegiate days. And so I've just really enjoyed the experience of being a national volunteer, because you can do that no matter where you live, whether you're close or far from an alumni chapter. And that has just been so helpful for me as I've moved cities throughout my career.
Yeah, similarly, I didn't take the national route, and now you're giving me the idea. I'm like, I need to do this, write this down. You literally learn about all these opportunities through Tri Delta through your life. So this is amazing. The things that I've done is that, one, my sisters, you really do create a bond, and I just got engaged. I'm super excited about it. And 2 of my bridesmaids are Tri Delta sisters. So those bonds are real. But I've moved a lot, out of the country, in the country. And right now I'm based in Washington, D.C. And I was trying to get connected and flourish where I was planted and, find friends. And one of the girls who was in a fellowship I was in, it was a Tri Delta, and she was in South Carolina. And so we started a book club, and we get together with ladies throughout the Hill every once a month or so and read books. And it is fantastic. I have made so many connections. I have made so many bonds. So Tri Delta can be very localized and something that you do with just the bonds that you have knowing that you are Tri Deltas, or it's a firm membership within your chapter, or it's a national organization that you can do all sorts of volunteering things. So, and you'll find out what that is best for you, but just know it's there. So.
Absolutely. Take advantage of our special sisterhood. Reach out to alumni members when you're moving to a new city, or you're pursuing a job, or even an interview. You never know. You might have a Tri Delta sister in that network, in that company, that can share some insight with you that could be really helpful in you choosing this career or this this job. Melanie and Amanda, you've been sharing such wonderful advice and insight with us. Do you have any other advice or things you'd like to share, any remarks before we end our panel?
I think something that was told to me is that you're not a tree. You can move around. So if there's a big decision that's coming up for you and you're just so nervous because you're like, my life's going to end if I do X, know that it's not going to end. You can make that decision, and guess what? It could maybe not be the best thing for you long term, but it'll work short term. Know that you can always transition, that you can always do something and change your mind. Mistakes aren't the end of your life, but just, you are not a tree. You can move around and you can make new decisions and make changes in your life. Obviously, do your due diligence and just don't run off and make any decision, but don't be too nervous to try a new opportunity and to go about, and whether that's out of the country, in the country, or whatever.
Yeah, and for me, just to piggyback on something that was said earlier, use your Tri Delta network. I will say, I think sometimes as a recent graduate or a collegiate member, you're nervous to reach out. You don't want to bother people. I have never gotten an email from someone that went to my alma mater or a Tri Delta sister that I wasn't excited to receive and wasn't more than happy to connect with people and help in any way that I could. So don't be nervous. Use that network. It's what we're here for. We are sisters. We support each other. We want every one of us to be successful, and any alumni member that can help you is going to want to help you. So don't be afraid to use that network. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. We all got to where we are today because of so many people helping us, right? And so it is an honor to pay it forward. Those who are joining us today, you are welcome to reach out to any of us on social media or finding us through the directory. And we are happy to answer any questions or give you any other advice that you may have not had a chance to hear from today. Amanda, Melanie, thank you so much for joining us. Again, you have such impressive resumes. You are so inspiring, and you are leading change for our world. And it is an honor, again, to be a part of the 33 Under 33 honorees. Everyone else, thank you so much for being a part of our Pansy Celebration. Tysley, back to you in our circle degree. Have a great day.
And speaking of gratitude, oh my, thank you so much, Sister Deltas. Chen, Amanda, and Melanie, you were absolutely divine. I'm so inspired by your stories. And we've got a great deal of encouragement that we're not only extending to you, but also to our soon-to-be newest alumni members. We know you will continue to do great things, and we expect nothing less from you, sensational sisters. So Chen, Amanda, and Melanie, we're wishing you all the best. As you face your own life after college, know that Tri Delta is always here for you. You've heard it, but it's important to say it yet again. We will always be here for you, empowering you with support, resources, and genuine connections to help you continue to be and better your best. In fact, I recommend that when finish our time today, that you go right on over to Connect DDD. It's our networking platform, and it provides so many ways to begin a professional network and to actually invite other Tri Deltas to connect. It also creates space for you to explore and to learn more about your field of interest. So as you get a chance, make sure you click on resources, and you'll find a ton of information, tools, videos, and you'll see what it really means and what it makes up to truly get ready for our Life After College series. One of the biggest benefits Tri Delta offers as you begin your professional life is the Start Smart Salary Negotiation Workshop. We are very proud to partner with the American Association of University Women, AAUW. They've been advocating for years and empowering women since 1881, just a few years before Tri Delta got started. Let me tell you what this partnership enables. It allows you and all of our members, those of you who are about to graduate, those who have recently graduated, and even our seasoned alumni, it offers a free workshop, literally at no cost, designed to give you the skills and confidence needed to successfully negotiate your rightful salary and your benefits package. We know that just 1 year out of college, women already earn significantly less than their male counterparts. It's our responsibility to offer you and all of our sisters the tools to address this issue in your own lives and careers, and to take an important step to achieving gender parity. We'll be scheduling more free sessions of the AAUW Smart Start Salary Negotiation Workshop in the coming weeks and months. So make sure you watch out on social media, check your emails for those dates, times, and online links.